Here's the part where I go, hear ye, hear ye. Hey, it's Soul with another video, and we're going to do like this bit of a blog read and figure out like what's going on in patch 12.1 in season 2, which is titled The Curse of Ula'tek. So we're gonna do the typical read through, go through all the stuff. There was like a whole video that was also playing, and we just finished watching it right now, but we're going to give like plenty of commentary as we go. So of course, like the video, subscribe for more stuff. Let's get going. Dive into the next content update, the Curse of Ula'tek, in our latest Wildcast, and we're going to see stuff, but let's go to, okay, we skip that part. Let's get to the bullet points. So we have a new outdoor zone called the Cold Isle. It is just to the east of Zul'Aman. We're going to have these kinds of new things called the Vault of Ula'tek, public events, curse urges, and cursed fishing. So the quick explanation on that, I guess we'll go through, and I guess we'll commentate later, because there might be explanations below. This seems to be a pretty lengthy post. New raids coming with 8 bosses. We're gonna have 1 new dungeon, the Altar of Fangs. There will be these new Lairs, and I'll explain that really quick. It looks like they're just doing world bosses, but they're instanced this time. But they also have this kind of like different difficulty selection we can choose as well, which I think is pretty neat. I'm going to be curious as to like how the lockouts will work out, if there's anything to that we need to be aware of. Is there a way to unlock higher difficulties? Does there need to be an unlock or anything like that? Not sure. There's going to be 3 new delves. There will be a new nemesis, of course. The typical stuff with season content, including a new prey season. New Argentina quest, which is kind of cool. There are some really spiffy updates for the cooldown manager, which included the ability to track trinkets. There are some like new things for healers, so better tools for them. The big one though, the thing that's got me all, that totally whets my appetite, is housing import-export is going to happen. It's a pretty awesome system from what we saw in the clips. Pets are going to come. We get 4 new endeavors and then other stuff. So again, we're going to do the read and like just kind of go through like some of the visuals here, and then we'll commentate. You'll pick up on the continuing story of Zul'Jan as the fog lifts from the island off the east coast of Zul'Aman, as said. You'll join Zul'Jara as she pursues him to bring her brother and others home to Zul'Aman. We'll delve into a long, buried history of the Cold Isle, learn more about what is locked away, and who was left behind. So it's not just going to be like bad guys that are left back there, but it's going to have, as you can see here, a very similar color palette to Zul'Aman, from the starts. But then we also have these vaults that we'll be exploring inside that we probably can't fly in, but we probably have to unlock a little something to get more access. Within the mountain of the Cold Isle, you'll undertake a variety of new activities as you explore this corrupted ecosystem filled with poisonous waters and venomous foes. Plunge into the vaults of Ula'tek, prime for challenging group content and rotating public events. Similar stuff. Taking part in these public events will ultimately build up to a boss fight. I hope that it's a bit more friendly than how like the Void Assault and Void Strikes worked out. I have yet to do a Void Strike ever, so we'll see how that works out. While in the zone, players will have access to a custom talent tree that will provide different perks of player power along with quality of life perks. So zone-based borrowed power, very familiar. We've seen that going as far back as I think like TBC. These perks can include things such as something to reduce the potency of venom found along the isle as you explore. And there seems to be quite a bit to access too. There seems to be like this up here seems to be like some progressive thing that's going to be this auto power up. And then here we have choice nodes. There's like a whole progression thing. Not sure if we end up filling up the whole thing, but we probably do. So it's going to be pretty robust. That's kind of neat. It's going to feel not as neat as soon as we leave the zone. And then it's like, okay, we feel kind of weak out here, but at least the vibe that I'm getting from the video and just from this read is that what we're going to encounter first are challenges inside the zone. That's going to make it feel harder than regular zones, and then it's going to feel a little bit easier till things kind of taper off, and then we'll feel like OP by the end. That's kind of the guess. As you adventure through the zone, you'll come across curse surges, which will regularly spawn rare elites at 5 rotating locations throughout the isle. Okay. Killing a rare unlocks cursed fishing at that location. You'll also discover a local story with a Tortolan sea captain named Taka, gain rep with the crew, and learn to fish in more cursed waters around the isle. So, fisher people, money makers, have fun. Here's their explanation of Lairs. Introducing Lairs is an evolution on world bosses located in instanced encounters with scale and difficulty up to flexible mythic with 15 to 25 players. These will be found in specific locations similar to delves and will come complete with a summoning stone outside. Oh, a summoning stone too. Oh, that's pleasant. So if you want to bring your friends in, have them go with you, and then zerg all that stuff together. The goal is to make it easier for players to gather and take on these bosses by encountering them at specific locations where you can choose your difficulty and use the summoning stone to bring others to you. To me, the big benefit is not having like crazy zone lag. You know, you have like 1,000 people, you know, that are all in multiple layers. They're all taking on the world boss at the same time. That's going to cause like a whole lot of stress. It's been causing a whole lot of stress ever since like ever pretty much. And then we have 3 new bosses, a new dungeon called the Altar of Fang, so including this very dolled out Hydra person. This new 3-boss dungeon will be available up to heroic difficulty at the launch of the content update and will join the Mythic Plus rotation once Midnight Season 2 begins a week after the launch. So we know that's going to be one of the new dungeons in the rotation. And then we enter a new raid called the Venomous Abyss. And there's probably the big boss. Arriving with the start of Midnight Season 2, players will face Ula'tek herself in the Venomous Abyss. An ancient powerful creature of hatred, corruption, and venom, Ula'tek has been unleashed by Zul'jan's actions. This new raid dungeon will feature 8 new boss encounters, as usual, and you'll ultimately face off against Ula'tek as the final boss. So this seems to be like kind of like raid format-wise, standard stuff. No mention of flexible mythic here. It looks like that's going to be relegated to like the world boss. And we know that there's going to be another mini raid that's going to happen, and I believe the 12.1.5, not the 0.7, but the 0.5. And so that might feature, again, a whole flexible mythic thing. Then we got 3 new delves. All of them are taking place, I think, in Zul'Aman, the Ring of Glory, which is probably just like the one in, I forgot the name of it, the one in Southeast Harandar. Grudge Pit, I believe, because we're just in like this one spot. Then there's Naldor Isle and Venomfall Deep's Nemesis Delve. Oh, that's the Nemesis stuff. Okay. Oh, so it's 2 new delves. And then here's the Nemesis, who looks like this. It's part Naga, part Snakehead kind of person. That's kind of, they have goofy Murloc eyes. This is how I'm sort of taking that. Cute. In the Curse of Ula'tek content update, players will be able to take on 3 new delves, with one of the delves as a, again, new Nemesis delve. You'll step into the Ring of Glory, Nardal Isle, and the Venomfall Deep's Nemesis delve for new rewards. With the start of Season 2, bountiful delves will become available, and players will be able to push into the upper tiers to challenge themselves beyond Tier 7 and face the new Nemesis boss. So similar format to how Midnight Season 1 began. And then get ready for Midnight Season 2. 1 week after the content update goes live, the new season will begin, bringing it with a new dungeon rotation for Mythic Plus, a new raid, PvP season, more prey, and so on and so forth. So we're seeing a similar pattern where the first season of an expansion, Mythic Plus was kind of like pushed back a little bit further. In this case, not so much. Things are just like, we're going all in. And here's the rotation that we have for the next season. So we have the new dungeon, and then we have the other 4 Midnight Dungeon: Murder Row, Tent of Nalarak, Blinding Veil, and Void Scar Arena. And then we're also going to get King's Rest, troll stuff, Ruby Life Pools, which is not troll stuff, and then Temple of Sethulis, which is definitely troll stuff. So it's very interesting that they're including Ruby Life Pools in this one. I would have figured that there was like a number of different dungeons, like Gundrak and that vanilla one on the sand and all that. Oh, that would have been that would have been brutal. Yeah, I would have figured they would have something else. So cool. Stalk new prey in Season 2 and explore new stories in the Argentina. So, of course, with a new zone, we're going to have additional prey targets available. That's cool. And that's it. They didn't really say anything else. But then I'm guessing we're just going to get like, you know, new item level stuffs and hopefully new visuals that come with, you know, a new gear set, something like that. And then of course there's PvP Season 2. Training Grounds have introduced more players into the PvP ecosystem. Awesome. After the introduction to Battlegrounds versus bots, we're introducing Arenas versus bots. Ah, interesting. That's kind of cool. So Training Grounds for Arena stuff. That's neat. So here's the cooldown manager stuff. It's getting some additional updates and we'll be able to track trinkets and potions, helping with consumable management. Hopefully it's like super adaptable and we'll be able to, you know, it's like, okay, it's a new trinket or it's a new kind of potion that we're using and it'll always be able to track that. That'll be very useful. And you can also ping your own unit frames to convey things like your health to the group. You know, I'm kind of used to, hey, I'm dying, you know, in comms and all that. And then here are the new configurations for healers. Raid frames are also allowing you to configure which kinds of healing buffs and what the priorities of them are for the ones you want to show up there. So if you want, so it's like, hey, I don't need to see rejuve on everyone or life bloom or whatever. So I only want to see like certain ones. Cool. And then here's like the real content. So here we have the housing updates. For players who want to share their cool builds with others, you'll be able to export the entirety of your exterior and your interior. Or, well, here are your options. Full layouts, interiors, exteriors, or just the current room, which is very, very neat. Other players will be able to import your exports to use with their own homes. If you want to try something new, you'll be able to save what you currently have in place, play around with additional layouts, and then reload if you change your mind. And then there's going to be a new reset options that just like kills everything and starts you at 0 without having to delete one room at a time. If you're hoping to import a blueprint but don't have everything in that blueprint already, the system will show you a list of what is in a blueprint and tell you what you have or are missing, which is mwah. You'll still be able to import even if some items are missing, which is again, mwah. That's a really cool part. The fact that we can like throw stuff down and then like let's pretend like if you wanted to throw down like everything in a blueprint and you're missing like a bunch of stuff. Okay, cool. You throw stuff down. Whatever you have, and then once you have more stuff, then you can just use the, you know, and you want it to be displayed a certain way, like it's a super kit bash thing, then you can just import again and then just have everything thrown down. Now, no mention of selecting multiple items and then manipulating all those things at once. That would have been huge, because something that I would have been fond of having would have been the ability to like import a house full of kit bashed things like an espresso machine or this awesome bed or fireplace or whatever. And then I'd like to be able to select all that stuff and then move it in to wherever I like or make copies of it or what have you. So that doesn't appear to be a thing that was announced. Maybe it'll come, maybe not. It sounds like it's not, but that would have been awesome if we had that sort of ability. So what I anticipate is while we're going to see a lot of folks present like, hey, here's a fully furnished house and all that stuff, I have a feeling one of the more popular things that will that'll really take off is people who are marketing or just kind of giving away like certain housing layouts. So while it's not going to have like all the furniture, the decor and all that stuff, it's going to be like, here's a house that's shaped a certain way, that has all these different floors and beams and walls that are set up in all these ridiculous ways. And then the player is free to go ahead and furnish it however they like. You know, okay, let me just put some beds here and all that stuff. Maybe it'll have like some basic stuff, nothing too crazy. So imagine like, hey, here's this really cool house, but it has this really awesome kitchen. So cool, we're going to import just the kitchen. Boom, there it is. And now you have this really, really cool setup. So that'll be very neat. And it'll be interesting to see how big crafting deals with that. Part of that, from that, we can welcome our pets home. We can let our pets roam free in your home by adding a pet bed decor item, which will let you place your non-combat companion pet in the house. Your pet will also be able to wander through the home through some new navigation tech, allowing them to make their way around your decor. Now, how's this going to work in some of the really wacky builds? It's like, you know, some folks, they have like, hey, here's this place with like this portal, and then you got to click through it, and then you end up on the other side of the house, or you have like this crazy spiral staircase or something like that. Can they navigate through that sort of stuff? Not sure. but I'm sure like basic layouts like this, absolutely. So I hope that we can kind of finagle and kind of control the pet's behavior, because I hate for them to get like stuck in a wall, or they want to hop onto a chair, but then that chair is actually, it's not really a chair, it's actually part of like this kit bash like face or something like that. So all of a sudden they're sitting on top of the fridge, which can be a thing too, but you know what I mean, right? And then we're getting new endeavors, which feature the Amani trolls, kobolds, the centaur, and the tortolan. So along with, of course, the themes, we're going to get a lot more decor based on, or at least like 10 or so decor based on these races. So that'll be something to look forward to. I want to see lots of tools from the centaur. That'll be awesome. And then there's questing, other questing. Update on Eretor. He's going to be hunting for Zalatath, and we'll see how that goes. So feature-wise, I've noticed that these major patches, or what were once called major patches, we get the raid, we get the zone, there's lots of cool stuff and updates and all that stuff, but in a way it feels kind of thin, right? Sort of. It's going to be over time as we get into 12.1.5, 12.1.7. That's when we're going to see like even more stuff, because with the way that WoW development is these days, we kick things off with a big release, but then there's like all sorts of other content that comes out as well. Some of it you care about, some of it you don't, but it all equates into like these into what ends up being a very heavy delivery of different things to do. Like, for example, like with season 1 of Midnight, it's a lot of different stuff. Some people care about it, some people don't, but then when we really step back and look at it, it's like, boy, there's a ton of stuff to do when we want to get around to it. And so that's what's got me really excited. Of course, I'm excited most about like the housing stuff, the Endeavor stuff. Like, it seems cool. Import export is going to be a game changer, guaranteed. The additional pets and whatnot, that's going to be awesome. But this looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to like the new zone content and being able to like break things down and eventually become this like overpowered badass. Swimming through green water stuff and not really caring. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe for more stuff. Catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.